The Thanksgiving He'll Never Forget by Timothy Ewing. Chapter 1. There once was a boy named Logan, and no matter what was served at mealtime, he never seemed to be satisfied. At breakfast, he'd say the eggs were too runny, lunch the soup was too slimy, and dinner the chicken was too plain. If his mom spent hours cooking, he would wrinkle his nose. If his dad tried something new, he would sigh and push his plate away. Every meal turned into a list of complaints. One evening, after Logan refused to eat again, his mom said softly, "Logan, do you realize how blessed you are? There are children who don't get the privilege of eating 3 meals a day. Some don't even have enough for one." Logan shrugged. "Then send them this food. I don't want it." His dad frowned gently. "Son, when you talk like that, it shows your heart isn't hungry for food, it's hungry for gratitude." But Logan didn't care. He crossed his arms and muttered, "Well, I'm full of food I don't like, and thankfulness that's gone missing." Chapter 2. A few days later, Thanksgiving arrived. The house was filled with the smell of roasted turkey, buttery rolls, and apple pie. The table sparkled with Grandma's best dishes. The candles flickered, and music played softly in the background. Everyone gathered around, smiling. Everyone but Logan. "Isn't this wonderful?" his mom asked. Logan poked his potatoes with a fork. "We eat this every year. Can't we do something different for once?" His sister giggled. "Like what, pizza?" "Maybe," Logan said, rolling his eyes. "At least I'd like that." His dad set down his fork. "Logan, Thanksgiving isn't about having something new. It's about being thankful for what never changes, like family, love, and home." Logan sighed dramatically. "Well, I'm thankful for nothing." His mom's smile faded. "That's a sad thing to say, Logan." "Maybe," he said, standing up, "but it's true." And with that, he stomped upstairs to his room, muttering about how boring Thanksgiving was. Chapter 3. Logan lay in bed staring at the ceiling. He could still hear his family laughing downstairs. He turned over, pulled his blanket up, and whispered, "I wish Thanksgiving would just disappear." The moment the words left his mouth, his window opened and a cold wind blew through his room. The curtains fluttered, and his lamp flickered out and the air grew colder. The smell of turkey was gone, and the whole house was now silent. Logan sat up, confused. What in the world? Then a calm, echoing voice filled the darkness and said, "You said to send your food to others. Let's see what that means." When Logan opened his eyes, he wasn't in his bed anymore. He stood inside a small, dimly lit apartment. A boy about his age sat at a table with his little sister, cutting a single apple into thin slices. "Here, you get the bigger half," the boy said softly. "But what about you?" the girl asked. He smiled. "I'm okay. Maybe we'll have something warm tomorrow." Logan blinked in shock. He wanted to give them something, anything, but his hands were empty. The wind blew again, swirling dust around his feet. Now he was standing outside a shelter. Children sat at a long table, passing around a pot of soup so thin it looked like colored water. Still, they were laughing. "Thank you, God, for this food," one whispered before taking a tiny sip. Logan's throat tightened. "Why are they smiling? They barely have anything." The voice answered, "Gratitude isn't measured by the size of what you have, but by your ability to notice the goodness in it." Before Logan could ask what that meant, the wind carried him away once more. This time, he was in a dark alley behind a grocery store. A mother was sitting with her child on a cardboard mat, sharing half a sandwich. The little boy asked, "Mom, do you think someone will bring us turkey tomorrow?" She brushed his hair. "Maybe. But even if they don't, we'll still give thanks for what we do have." Each other. Tears filled Logan's eyes. He whispered, "I didn't know. I didn't understand." The wind rose, softer now, like a sigh, and said, "Now you do." Chapter 4. When Logan opened his eyes again, sunlight streamed through his window. The air felt warm and bright. Everything in his room looked exactly the same, but something inside him felt completely different. He jumped out of bed and raced downstairs 2 steps at a time. His parents were in the kitchen, busy putting the final touches on their huge holiday dinner. "Mom! Dad!" Logan shouted, excited and nearly out of breath. His parents both froze. His mom slowly turned around with surprised eyes. I thought you weren't joining us for dinner this Thanksgiving," she said. "You made it pretty clear you didn't want to be part of any of this." Logan shook his head. "I was wrong," he said quickly. "I do want to be part of it, but not just for us. There are people out there who won't have a dinner today. People who won't be sitting around a table with a family. We need to invite them here. All of them. Anyone who needs a place." His dad blinked in disbelief. "Wait, what happened to our son who didn't like anything?" he asked, studying Logan's face as if trying to figure out if this was a joke. Logan swallowed and spoke softly. "I guess I was a little tired when I went up to my room, so I laid down on my bed. The next thing I know, I was transported to this little apartment with a brother and sister who only had an apple to eat. Then I was at a shelter where there were tons of kids being served watery soup, and then I saw a mother in an alley sharing half a sandwich. When I opened my eyes, I realized I don't want anyone to feel hungry or alone today or any day." His mom's expression softened. "You really mean that?" she asked gently. Logan nodded. "Yes. Can we open our home? Please?" His dad smiled slowly, a proud, quiet smile. "Well," he said, putting a hand on Logan's shoulder, "then let's make some room." Chapter 5. That afternoon, Logan designed and printed a flyer inviting people in his community to dinner at his house. He then grabbed his jacket and the stack of flyers and began going around town to start inviting people he thought could use a good meal. He went door to door around the neighborhood, knocking and smiling. He then found a homeless lady who was holding up a sign that said, "Willing to work for food." He bent down and looked her in the eye and said to her, "Hi, I'm Logan. You don't know me, but my family's having Thanksgiving dinner, and we'd love for you to join us. It looks like you could use a hot meal." Surprised at first by his kindness, she quickly smiled and said, "I would love to," and began following him around town. At the next house, he said, "We've got plenty to share. You're welcome to come." At another, he added, "Even if you just want some company, we'd love to have you." Some people were skeptical. Others smiled and said they'd bring something to share. An older man down the block wiped his eyes and said, "I haven't been invited anywhere in years, son. Thank you." By evening, the house was full. People laughed, talked, and shared stories. Neighbors who had lived on the same street for years finally met one another. Even Logan's little sister said, "This is the best Thanksgiving ever." And for the first time in his life, Logan agreed. Chapter 6. When the last guest left, Logan helped wash the dishes without being asked. His mom and dad watched him, amazed. His dad said softly, "Son, that was the best Thanksgiving we've ever had." His mom nodded. "I just have one question. What happened to our picky, ungrateful boy?" Logan smiled. He went to bed one day and woke up hungry. Not for food, but for gratitude. Logan looked out the window and he noticed something. The wind had picked up again, swirling leaves in the front yard. For a moment they danced in a circle, forming the shape of a heart before blowing away into the night. Logan whispered, "Thank you for showing me what Thanksgiving is really all about." Chapter 7. From that Thanksgiving on, Logan made it his mission to share what he had. Each year, the table grew longer, the laughter louder, and the hearts fuller. Neighbors began bringing their own dishes, turning it into a community feast. And every year, as the final candle burned low, that same gentle wind would return, rustling through the trees and whispering softly like a reminder, the fullest plates belong to the thankful hearts. Logan learned that gratitude turns what we have into more than enough. The real feast begins when we stop asking, "What's for dinner?" and start asking, "Who can we invite?" Letter from the author. Dear reader, thank you so much for reading this story. The Thanksgiving he'll never forget began with a simple idea. Sometimes we don't realize how fortunate we are until life helps us see things from a different point of view. Logan's journey started with something many of us experience, taking everyday things for granted. When we have a warm meal, a cozy home, and people who care about us, it's easy to forget that not everyone has those same comforts. Logan didn't understand how much he had until he saw how little others had. And even more surprising to him, they were grateful anyway. That's one of the most powerful truths about gratitude. It isn't based on how much we have. It grows from learning to appreciate even the small, simple things. A warm bowl of soup, a shared apple, a moment spent together, a friendly smile. Sometimes, the things we overlook are the very things someone else is hoping for. Logan also discovered something just as important. Gratitude becomes even stronger when we share it. When he opened his home, he wasn't just offering a meal. He was offering comfort, connection, and a moment of belonging to someone who truly needed it. And something amazing happened. The more he gave, the more his heart filled up. That's the quiet magic of kindness. It turns a table into a gathering place. It turns neighbors into friends. It turns a holiday into a memory worth keeping. And it turns a boy who once complained into someone who understands the value of what he has. But there's also a deeper truth woven throughout this story, one we find in the heart of the Christian message. The Bible reminds us that every good thing we have is a gift, and that thankfulness isn't just a feeling, it's a posture of the heart. Scripture teaches us to give thanks in all circumstances, not because life is perfect, but because gratitude helps us recognize the love, provision, and purpose God places in our lives. Jesus also taught us to look out for the needy, to share, to pour out our time, our minds, and our compassion. So when Logan opened his door to the lonely and the hungry, he was living out that kind of love. And just like Jesus promised, when we give generously, something inside us grows too. My hope is that this story encourages you to look around with fresh eyes, to notice the small blessings in your own life, to appreciate the people who care about you, and to find simple ways to make someone else's day a little brighter. Because the real meaning of Thanksgiving isn't found in the food on the table. It's found in the gratitude we choose to carry, the kindness we choose to give, and the hearts we choose to include. And for those who follow Christ, it's also found in reflecting the love he has already shown us. May this story inspire you, just as writing it inspired me. With warmth and appreciation, Timothy Ewing.